I challenged my friend to a Balatro Speedrun Race, and this is how it went. A Balatro Speedrun Race is where you take all 15 decks and you see who can complete them on a given stake. We decided to complete all of the stakes at white stake, and essentially all you need to do is go as fast as possible and see who is the best. Naturally, we both decided to start off with the red deck. Simple, easy, and it has almost no issues. Again, all you need to do for this is see who can go the fastest and who's better at the game. By better, you need to quickly and efficiently buy the best jokers possible and really get into it. Each deck is going to take about 15 minutes to complete, sometimes longer if you're slower. To do this, you need to have a very common strategy, and as for the red deck, I lost very quickly in the beginning. I lost run after run after run, realistically more about 3 runs, before I finally got a good run where I was able to get a good monetary start with Rough Jim, and then was able to pick up a few extra jokers, such as Sock and Buskin. This allowed me to get a lot of synergy with my jokers, and continue going from there. From there, it was just as simple as buying some standard packs, adding cards to my run, and then really just trying to get the same hand over and over again. A lot of people try to get essentially the same thing over and over, like going for straights, going for flushes, going for 4 of a kind, going for 5 of a kind, and I am no better, especially when you know there's a tried and true method, and it gives you an easy win on your opponent, essentially, or at least the deck, especially at white stake where you don't need very much. As you can see, there's a lot of jumping around because I just kept having issues getting jokers that synergized well, and it made things easier. Holographic is a very easy, nice, multiplicative joker. It adds enough molt every time you adds a 0.1 molt every time you add a card, or 0.25. Sock and Buskin just re-triggers any face card. So you add some queens, easy peasy, third try down, we move on. Then blue deck, you're gonna gain 1 hand every round, so you start with 5 hands total instead. A nice pickup right in the beginning is the 4 of a kind joker, and earlier in this run I picked up Percheco, which is a nice legendary. The problem is, even with that, I didn't pull enough face cards for 4 of a kind, which means that it doesn't matter because I wasn't able to find enough 8s, so my 5 of a kind strategy just went out the window. Having to restart again, and already behind at this point against Martin on everything, I went for a full house build. Should have been easy enough. You just need a easy peasy full house. To help me with that, I had Misprint Joker, and I had, can't remember the name at the moment, but essentially it gains molt every time you play either 2-pair or full house. As you can see through the jump, that while helps an abstract joker, I ended up with 2 due to invisible joker. I ended up picking up Madness because I figured, hey, Madness is really good. It gains 0.5 molt every time you win, and it was holographic, so you gain 10 molt. That ended up ruining me immediately. So I quickly moved on for the 3rd attempt of the blue deck, and tried for a straight. Straights are really what you want to start with if you're going to play any side. If you want to play the first ante, you need a straight, or just a full house, because it's going to give you 300 chips no matter what. Then, at the end of this run, finally, I was able to have pair molt, I was able to have castle, which gains chips, and everything had either a holographic, plus 10 bold, foil. It was super nice, and a really not quick run, considering this is the 2nd deck, we're already an hour in, which I was behind extremely at this point. By then, I had to rush, and that wasn't very helpful. For the yellow deck, you started off with $10 extra. It's nice, it's easy, it's simple. You know, hey, going into the first run, hey, I'm going to have enough money. And this one really was that simple. I had Bloodstone, I got 0.5, and I lost. It should have been simple, at least. Eventually, it really was just add another hand, grab some, well, what I hoped would be lucky. But if you're putting foil and holographic on Gross Michael, you're pretty much screwed. But, again, it only took a little bit of lucky jokers, Gross Michael going extinct, and me never finding Cavendish, and then being able to play 4 of a kind of 8s that, with very nice jokers, as you can see, I had the 3 of a kind multiplicative joker, which allowed me to win the hand pretty quickly. From the yellow deck, you move on to the green deck, which is known that you just don't get interest, essentially. You're playing for hands, you need discards, it's pretty easy. Again, this was a run that I thought I was dominating. You see Brainstorm, you see Blueprint, you see Abstract, you got Hanging Chad, for God's sakes. It is just that good of a run. But I got my, as you can see, not good. I immediately got my ass handed to me because I couldn't get enough Molt. And here I just say, wow, I am. But I decided to continue to run. Supernova, not great. Pick up the worst legendary known to mankind, but it can be nice. Running straights isn't always the most fun thing to do, considering everyone knows that you can just win with straights. But because of how far behind I was, I had to quickly move on. Black deck, by far, one of the hardest decks to play on, especially in a speedrun like this. It's very, very difficult to win on the black deck, and I lost time and time and time again. But the important thing to notice is that Martin on everything was also losing on the black deck. He may have gotten to this point faster, but he was still stuck at this point on the black deck. And so finally, with a stroke of luck, I started the run off with Misprint. And of course the Gold Joker, which always lets you get some extra money. Brainstorm came in, driver's license, and the ability for your first face card to double is absolutely amazing. The problem is that I was playing a flush build. So my red stamped king was not helping me. But with a little bit of luck, I was able to get a very nice flush, and finally I took the lead against Martin on everything. Now, Nebula deck is one of those that it can be very good, but it's very dependent on getting something that your full cards actually help with. And in my sanity, I chose that I was going to fool the Wheel of Fortune, and for some reason, the game decided to reward me by giving it to me. Burnt Joker, stats are pretty good. If you're able to discard a hand that you're going to be playing every single time, you're going to win. And with Card Sharp, moving into something like High Card, Flush, something 3 of a kind, 2 pair, a hand that you can play multiple times with no questions asked is really, really good. The problem is that when you need realistically the same thing over and over again, you're going to get screwed time and time again, especially with a disabling every single Joker one at a time, transferring between them, which in this case I was able to just no problems grab it, play, and luckily win. But that is very lucky considering I was able to get flush leveled up high enough without having my Molt Joker actually giving anything. Swashbuckler adds the sell price of everything else. It could have been tricky. The Nebula deck, you start with the Telescope voucher, which is that your Celestial packs are going to have the highest played hand. So if you've played straight the most, it's going to always have a straight. But if you're unlucky and you've accidentally played too many full houses, too many high cards, you're going to get that, and you're not going to be getting the hand that you actually want. In this case, I was able to find DNA, which is a very nice pickup, and I had these super crappy jokers that I was absolutely okay with getting rid of, especially for Card Sharp, which you saw in the last one. It can be very good, but it can also be detrimental. Like right there, because if you can't play more than one hand, it's not going to trigger. So that really ruined my run. So just dying on Nebula deck allowed Martin on everything to pick up the pace, catch up way more than was nice. And by now, we're only halfway through this run. This run takes a very long time. Not that we were going fast, because we were not good. I was better than Martin on everything, simply because I've played a lot more than him. On the phone version, I'm only 5 decks away from having the Completionist Plus achievement. And while that doesn't sound like a lot, it's a very annoying achievement to get. You need to play every deck on every single stake and win. Essentially, you are a master of the game. As you can see, I lost a second time on the Nebula deck. It hurt. Martin on everything had finally caught up at this point, and it was starting to become a much harder race to keep up with. But I gritted my shit through, picked up an easy straight build, and just really started hammering everything through. Straights, again, are not a fun way to win. They will win, and that's the issue, is this entire game seemed to be mostly 5 of a kind, straights, straight flushes. You're not really doing anything special. If you can just build a straight deck, you're going to win. Finally, the ghost deck. You start off with a hex card. What does it do? It allows you to put a polygraph on any card. Yeah, that's nice and all, and as you can see, it came again. Onk doubles lets you delete everything and get an extra joker of one type. So I sell everything, and I decide, you know what, let's really go in on aces. I love aces, and that's just because I'm weird. And as such, I go into the final hand, force one card to always be selected, thinking, wow, I got this in the bag. I'm going to see if I can turn everything into aces. Because, well, my hubris was showing, and by now I had already really started to take the lead on Martin on everything. He had some problems, and Fives decided, hey, we're going to fuck you up. Why I didn't just immediately try to delete all of them, I have no clue, and I even gave it a chance to throw away an ace. But with 3 aces remaining that weren't drawn, I decided to play 4 of a kind. I hadn't really leveled this up as I was playing a 5 of a kind deck, but thank God my hubris didn't screw me over, because I managed to win that deck. By now, this is the halfway point. Abandoned, you have no face cards. You simply need to play straights. You need to you've already gotten down to 40 cards, so if you're able to get down even further, you can really win. And here, Hanging Chad managed to get Polygram, which means that it's no longer just a utility joker, it's now actually helping with score. As you can see, I'm looking for something. I'm looking for 3 of a kinds, I'm looking for 4 of a kind. I'm trying to get anything that really gives me some multiplicative. And finally, with Wii Joker having holographic, polychrome on 2 cards, and 3 of a kind giving me a ×2 molt, or ×3 molt, I was able to quickly and easily go through this with just simple 4 3 of a kinds. 3 of a kind is one of those rare ones that doesn't really stack up well when you're upgrading the cards. But in this run, on checker deck where you only have hearts and spades, I was able to quickly, and this one I'm actually kind of proud of because I was able to very, very quickly notice, hey, I have a winning hand. Burnt Joker is so good here because you are almost always guaranteed to have a flush in hand. In this case, I picked up the heart card not for the whole game, but just for the final hand, because I knew I had to I had to throw away a card. And if I had to throw away either Burnt or Stencil, which it has bigger molt depending on how many open card slots you have. So Burnt Joker and that, I was getting ×5, ×4 every single hand, and I was being able to upgrade a card every time. The Nebula deck, you just essentially get to start with some extra stuff. You're able to immediately start with a few extra vouchers. In this case, it wasn't anything special. Once again, I returned to my roots. I was playing 3 of a kind, and finally, I just ended up playing a straight build, or 3 of a kind build. It wasn't too difficult. You just need 3 of a kind, and you will win, essentially. The trio and the constellation, I was simply really, really hoping that the game wasn't just going to keep switching between the two and keep disabling them. As you can see, finally, I played 5 of a kind of aces like I always do, and I didn't do anything special. Again, by now, I was really far ahead of Martin on everything, and I wasn't really rushing. The painted deck, +2 hand size, yeah, it's nice. It can be very helpful, especially when you decide, hey, I'm going to go after 10s. Again, 4 of a kind, not really that special. It's just, eh. And when you pick up Burglar, you get rid of all your discards, but you gain 3 hands. And me finding Blueprint immediately after means that I can get rid of all my hands and go up 6 hands by copying it right before and then moving to something else. Cavendish, very, very nice, but it just got better when I found the Order. So not only did I have a bigger hand size, I was able to play straights immediately, again, with no issues. By now, I was trying to do a straight flush build because I was like, oh man, straight flushes, they're really nice. I hadn't really done them yet. I hadn't explored that opportunity. But, simply put, something get disabled every single hand really sucks because I needed Burglar to get disabled essentially. And I was for some reason deciding that I really, really wanted a straight flush. And so for the part that gets cut out of this, I just kept looking for a straight flush, but I ended up winning even with a basic straight. I spent too much time really worried that I wasn't going to win, so I lost a lot of time there. Not because I needed to, but simply because I was being stupid. More on everything at this point had completely lagged behind. It hadn't really become a race at this point. He just got screwed and screwed and screwed, and I really lost the worry that he was going to catch up. And as you can see, I play another straight. Not something I'm proud of. I should have really tried to diversify on this run, and something I would do in another. If I had to do this again, I would try to diversify more. Given that, I really, really am sorry that I just kept doing the same thing. I know, I'm not anything but forces one card to be selected. You're going to see a lot of the same stuff. Times 3. Wow, 9,000. And I didn't always win is the thing. Even though Marlon and everything was really, really far behind me, why I didn't play the full house there, I got no clue. I don't even want to talk about it. The Anaglyph deck is just that you get an extra copy tag every time you beat a boss. And that's great normally. The issue is, we weren't skipping. That's a big rule that we didn't address in this. We weren't skipping. Which, yeah, why I played the steel card, I don't know, but I won, okay? 5 of a kind, it really just, this game rewards you for playing 5 of a kind. But with Anaglyph deck, we weren't skipping anything. We were just playing everything possible. That's because that's a speedrun.com level selection, essentially. The plasma deck, you're essentially just trying to get as many chips as possible, because the more chips you have, it's going to split them in half for both chips and molt equally. So 126. That, well, is easy and one of the best decks that you can play to win fast. I was struggling. That first one, I was like, okay, I had a chip build, I was making the cards worth more, and in this case, I pick up Castle. You just need to discard a single suit, changes every hand, and I was like, okay, easy peasy. I should be able to quickly and easily get Castle upgraded, and I did. That wasn't the issue. The issue was, I just suck. Yep, that's it. I just suck. I really thought going into this that I was going to be able to finish in 4 hours. The world record is 2.5. I was like, yeah, I'll be okay. And finally, after getting Square Joker, Bull, which scales on money, $219. Seriously, the fact that I wasn't just winning is really a showcase of, wow, you are sucking. And yeah, I was getting that many chips, and yeah, of course I would win. It would have to have disabled it, which, thank God it didn't. An erratic deck, finally, which was the last deck, I wasn't initially thinking I was going to struggle on, because you just simply re-roll the deck, because the deck is going to give you a random assortment of cards, completely random at the beginning of the game, and if you just get 12 cards of a single suit, you're going to be able to play 5 of a kind and have no issues, because essentially you're guaranteed to get the cards you need. And I initially thought this is what was going to happen. I was like, okay, I got face cards, I got 30 chips per face card, I'm going to be able to play 5 kings every hand. Then I had Hanging Chat and Photocopy, which, if you don't know, is the only way to get photo to re-trigger. And then I got Seltzer, which I might have relied way too heavily on, more than I should have, to say the least. It was kind of a crutch. And adding 4 molt for every face card, and the fact that that face card was getting re-triggered 3, 4 times, 5 times, at least for the initial, should have shown, hey, you might need to worry. As you can see, Anti-5 came about, and I no longer had the ability to have any of my jokers actually matter. So besides getting kicked in the nuts, right there and then, I still picked up the pace, because Martin and everything still had not caught up, which was really unfortunate for him. The dude was struggling. He was really having a hard time. If you want to hear his, not screaming, but valid complaints, I recommend going and checking out the VOD. But finally, I picked up my shit. I grabbed a few jokers, which I should not have had any troubles on, to say the least, and a shit ton of money for Bootstrap. I was able to win. This really was the end of the run. The erratic deck is the last one. There wasn't too much struggle. As you can see, that ante wasn't too hard. It really came down to what was the final boss ante. And with Blueprint and getting rid of Mr. Bones, which I could have realistically used just to cheese the final boss. If you don't know, if you get 25% of the final boss, you just win with Mr. Bones, which was initially my strategy. That's just what I was going to do, and I felt no shame in that because, well, it's a speedrun, right? You're supposed to see who can be the best. But I didn't actually need it, as you can see, I was getting plenty and plenty of molt. I was getting millions of points at this point. And I won 1.2 million. I won the speedrun. It took 6 hours, 18 minutes, and 52 seconds, which was heartbreaking on how long it took, because I am now solidly in last place on speedrun.com for this run. This run took way longer than it should have. Realistically, if I was doing this by myself, I would have restarted on the red deck, but since me and Martin on everything were racing, we had to see who was the best out of us. But anyways, Bonner and everything did not end up winning this run. He ended up having some problems. He could not catch up. The black deck absolutely destroyed him, and this was the end of the run. It's unfortunate that he was unable to finish, but as we plan on making this a series, I was able to solidify my first place with 1-0. So Martin on everything will be choosing the next run, and we're going to be doing Binding of Isaac. So if you are interested in that, make sure to stay tuned, hit the like, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.